The Guard offers career training to take advantage of your skills in science, technology, engineering, and math that can help give you a leg up to a high-paying and rewarding STEM profession. Gain practical experience with emerging technology and equipment not found in the civilian world. The Army National Guard can get you started in an array of STEM-related career fields such as information technology, communication systems, Special Forces engineers, technical engineering, air traffic control, and chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear science. Get a head start on your career in an exciting new field while earning money to pay for college, all while serving in your own community. Log on to NationalGuard.com or talk to a recruiter in your area to learn about all of the STEM career opportunities available to you in the Army National Guard. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Want to help pull the plug on cyber terrorists? Or get the skills to work with satellites and other space technology? How about learning the avionics inside stealth fighters? And do you want to reach your goals fast? You can do it and take your life to the next level in the Air National Guard. Because you serve part-time, you do it in a way that works for you. You can achieve your career and educational goals with plenty of time for family and friends. The Air Guard offers nearly 200 career specialties, so you'll get the high-tech skills you need to kick your career into high gear. You can also be eligible for college tuition assistance. The best part is, in the Air Guard, you'll be making a real difference by serving your community and country. So get your future off the ground in the Air National Guard. Call the Alabama Air National Guard at 1-800-TOGOANG or visit goang.com/AL.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Compact Discourse, right here on WEGL 91.1 FM, Auburn's premier home for student-run radio since 1971. I'm your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside my color man, and eventually joined by Alex Houston, and perhaps Jacob Hillman calling in. We'll just see. We'd like to welcome in our listeners and viewers from across the Auburn Opelika Megaplex and around the world, however you may be joining us today, whether that be from your terrestrial radio antenna, through the information superhighway at WEGLFM.com, or tuning in after the fact on transistor.fm, wherever you get your podcasts, or Eagle Eye TV. We are happy to have you here in the booth with us for Auburn's only student-run radio drive time morning show. And now we are broadcasting live from the Bradley Basin WEGL studios in the bowels of the Harold Melton Student Center on the campus of Auburn University, where it is a lovely 71 and partly cloudy this fine Monday morning. Welcome to Compact Discourse. We wish you a most sincere good morning, however you are joining us today. Davis, how are you feeling about this new fresh week, this new Monday morning?
It's going to be a little rainy this week from what I've heard. So I'm kind of neutral to that. I do like rain, but at some point you got to get some sun in there. But it felt good walking here. It didn't rain on me. So I'm looking forward to this week. It's going to be a busy one for me, though.
That's right, yeah. Looking at rain as the tropical storm season continues to roll on into the early autumn. At this point, I would like to remind our audience that if any point in the next 2 hours you feel so inclined to ask a question, drop a hot take, or in the highly unlikely event that we get something wrong, if you want to correct us, go ahead and call in at 334-844-9345. That's 334-844-9345. WEGL on your touch-tone keypad. You can also shoot us a tweet at CDiscAU, that's CDISCAU, and our dedicated team of call screeners will handle your inquiry. I think that's me today. So we are going to get right into the show and just give you a preview of what we're going to be talking about on this fine Monday morning. Of course, addressing the elephant in the room, Auburn football did make the trip up to Happy Valley to Pennsylvania to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions, where they came away unsuccessful in their attempt to knock off the Lions' top 10 team, but there is still plenty to talk about regarding that. And then also, Jack Hart and Jacob Hillman made the trip up there with the team, so I'm sure there are plenty of stories and excitement to get to regarding that. But if you were listening on the radio before the show, you did hear Toto saying that love is not always on time. And because we love you here at Compact Discourse, we are not always on time. So we are going to have to head to our quick break just a little bit early. When we come back, we're going to jump right into the show. Thank you for listening and being patient with us as we deal with technical difficulties. I know it's just a two-man operation right now. So hope you are having a great morning, and we will get right back to the show after these messages. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM.
Hi, I'm Harrison Smith. You may know me from my work as Scuba, one of the hosts of the hit award-winning show Nerdcore on WEGL 91.1 FM. But what you may not know about me is that I'm a website enthusiast. That's why I'm here to tell you about WeagleFM.com. It's our hotspot on the web with live broadcast articles and more. It's like a gift that keeps on giving. Tune into your favorite shows at any time with a 24/7 online stream right on the homepage. And don't forget to check out the schedule for our station's full selection of music, sports, and talk shows. For the sports fans, there's articles aplenty covering all of the current events in football, basketball, and beyond. For those music fans, WEGL FM has got you covered. We have album and concert reviews and theme playlists for any mood. We even have live musical performances with WEGL Sessions. There's more than enough content here to keep you procrastinated when you really should be studying for that test. That's right, we know you've been slacking off. Get back to it, lazy. So, no matter what sound you're looking for, we've got it only on WeagleFM.com. That's WEGLFM.com and WEGL 91.1 FM, Auburn.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You could kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM, WEGLFM.com, or however you are joining us today. We thank you for doing so. I'm Jack Hart, joined alongside Davis Carroll in the booth with you today for another exciting episode. The show must go on. As you know, you may hear a little horse, a pony, if you will, in my voice, as I have spent the last weekend drinking energy drinks, screaming, and staying awake, and that's not particularly good for your pipes. If you can elaborate on that, Davis.
Yeah, I mean, screaming's obviously not good for it, but the little known thing that's not good for it is staying up really late. I don't know if you have that issue, but if I stay up really late,
I have the issue of staying up late.
But like, if I stay up really late, like if I'm like really tired, my voice will start to go hoarse. Is that an issue you've ever had?
I'll say that when I stay up late, I'm not doing a lot of talking, so I don't have a great sample size.
But I remember that when we went to Disney for my senior year class trip, like I was up to like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. a few times, and like when I'm up that late, my voice just gets like really deep and then it disappears. I don't know what the scientific reason for it is, but it's my body telling me to go to sleep. Is
it's
how
like
I
an
see
unconventional superpower.
Yeah. If you could have any superpower that wasn't really like a superpower, what would yours be? Like you can't fly or anything like that.
Maybe I could tolerate eating any kind of food.
That's a lame superpower.
What?
I would have said speak any language.
Okay.
Or every language.
I don't know. Well, you set the bar with my voice gets hoarse when I stay up
Okay, that's
late.
fair,
So
that's fair.
I mean, I think that's cooler than that.
It is cooler than that.
All right, Davis. So did you have a fabulous weekend?
It was a pretty good weekend. I had to broadcast a game, which actually went really well. Volleyball won, beat the Belmont Bruins. They got to watch the football game, and then yesterday, really did nothing. Just got some work done.
And that's what Sunday's all about, getting work done. All right, so yeah, we are going to jump right into it. I assume we will have some more discourse to get to when Alex arrives later in the show, but I just want to get your initial reaction to, of course, the Auburn-Penn State game that I know we all watched on Saturday, and I hope you were as entertained by that as I was.
I was going so crazy in my friend's apartment, I'm sure we would have gotten a noise complaint if the neighbors weren't also going crazy. I will say it was a good game. Auburn stayed in it through the thick and thin. There was a lot of issues on Auburn's side, but there's a lot of good things on Auburn's side as well. But I think Brian Harsh's quote about it's not good enough to, like, play a good game, you should win. Did you see that quote?
I did not. You know what? I've been kind of in a media bubble.
Yeah, he was basically saying people, like the Auburn mindset, oh, at least we played well, so it was a good game. Brian Hart's like, that's not good enough. We need to win next time, which I appreciate because I'm a big proponent of you should win. If you have a good game and lose, winning is still better than that, obviously. But you get what I mean. But one of my friends said this game doesn't matter because it's Penn State. But I feel like it does matter because they're the number 10 team in the nation. And we didn't show up like we should have. We didn't win like we should have. I think we had multiple chances to win near the end of the game, and we blew it.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think there are arguments to be made that Penn State played down to competition. There's arguments to be made that Penn State is overrated at present. And I think this game is going to either, age like wine or age like milk, depending on how Penn State performs for the rest of the season.
I think Penn State does kind of have a positive outlook for the season. They played well, but I think that they might be just a tad overrated.
They played well, and in what appears to be a down year for Ohio State, they have an opportunity to make some real noise in the Big Ten, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I want Ohio State to be good again. I'll say it. I like when Ohio State's good.
Again? So, like, pre-2012, you want to go back?
Yes. I mean, I guess, Zeke Elliott days good.
Okay, fair enough.
That's when I was really watching him when I was younger. I was a big Zeke Elliott fan. Ezekiel Elliott, but that's beside the point. Do you think Penn State's overrated? I think they're good, but I'm not sure if number 10 good. I'm sure they're going to go up after the game on Saturday. I think maybe 11 to 13 to 15 good.
They're absolutely a top 25 team, but I think the only reason that they were ranked 10 on Saturday is because they were undefeated and their name is Penn State.
That's fair. It's Happy Valley. It was the whiteout. Do you think the whiteout had anything to do with Auburn's loss?
I think it contributed.
Well, yeah, contributed. But do you think Penn State will think that the whiteout's the reason we lost?
No, I think if that game was not a whiteout, if it was just a normal Penn State road game, I think Auburn the same result. I didn't see any time that the offense was disheveled or called a timeout because they couldn't hear and honestly, it's at some points I was very surprised. We can get to this later of just about the atmosphere in Penn State, but at some points towards the end of the game, especially when Auburn was driving to win, between plays, it got pretty quiet.
Interesting.
I was expecting a pretty raucous. I know it's hard to sustain a level of noise for an entire offensive drive, but game on the line, I was expecting a little more out of Penn State there. Maybe my perception's off. People are asking me to compare it to other SEC venues, LSU and Florida, but of course I was up in the upper deck as I have been for all of the venues, so it's kind of hard for me to gauge the noise level on the field. But however, it was a spectacle nonetheless. So I do think as far as whether or not Auburn should have won this game, I feel like in typical Auburn fashion, they went up there and put on a performance they can be proud of against a team they weren't really supposed to beat, but they played above their means to the end that you would expect them. It's not as if they got outplayed and lost. It's sort of a beat themselves type of mentality.
So I think the two biggest plays that people are going to point back to this game is obviously the Kobe Hudson fumble, and then the fade they ran, 4th down, that people are saying should be a pass interference, but both threw it so far out the back of the end zone it was uncatchable anyway. That was my biggest issue with that play. I think it could have worked if it was we could have got a pass interference at the least if it was in a catchable position. And I think Alex is outside.
Okay.
You want me to bring him in?
Yeah, just wave him in. Come on in, Alex. We are happy to have you on the show today. We are joined by Alex Houston, of course, co-sports director of WEGL. I know he's coming in hot with some takes about this Penn State-Auburn game. So we will get to that in just a little bit as he gets set up. But I will say that the two things that I've been noticing about what Auburn did on Saturday was there were execution issues, but there were also play calling issues. And I think that you have to separate those into two buckets and analyze them independently of one another. All right, and I'm going to formally welcome Alex into the show now as he has sat down. So welcome, Alex. It's wonderful to have you on Compact Discourse this morning. How are you feeling about this weekend at large, not just the game?
I mean, I went into the weekend pretty positive. Washington got that win on Thursday, but then I knew if Washington had a good week, Auburn was not going to. I don't think I've ever had them win simultaneously before, so that was rather unfortunate. But, I mean, I came out of it with, I would say, not as doom and gloom as a lot of people. It's kind of a let's wait and see because, I don't know if one game is a fair indictment on the coaching staff and the team because I think the problem with Gus Malzahn was not the fact that he didn't have great moments. He had it in 2017, 2013, so on and so forth. The problem was the fact that no matter what they did, the team never seemed to figure out how to win on the road. They did the same thing and made the same mistakes over and over and over again. 2016 Georgia and 2017 LSU were the same problems, essentially, just in different ways. And I think that's the question right now is, will the coaching staff, in terms of play calling specifically, because I think team issues is a whole other thing, but in terms of the play calling problem, will they, learn from this game and adapt? For example, the next time it's 4th and 2 on the goal line and you have Tank Bigsby in the backfield, will you just say, hey, we have an offensive line that's a veteran, that's, very experienced. You've got probably the best running back in college football. Will you just run up the middle? Now, if this consistently keeps happening, mistakes like that, running a trick play at the beginning of the second half, which I thought was a bit bizarre, then maybe it's a bit more, bit more concern. But right now, I mean, I think it checks out where this is going to be, we're going to see if the coaching staff can adapt and the team itself can grow from this. Because if the same problems present themselves against LSU, against Alabama, against Georgia, and against A&M, I feel like that's where the issue will start to really become an actual problem rather than just they lost one game again in one of the most hostile environments in college football against a good Penn State team. So
I didn't hate the trick play call. I think if he hadn't have fumbled, it would have either been like a 2-yard loss, or maybe he could have run it to get a positive gain, or if it had worked as intended, it would have been a big gain or even a touchdown.
Now, I don't dislike a trick play here and there. For example, the trick play to Jarquez Hunter back in the fourth quarter, which eventually led to the hurdle, which was a great trick play, by the way. I dislike doing it without trying anything else. For example, the fact of the matter is Penn State could not stop Tank. They didn't the whole night. Like when he got the ball, he got 3 yards at least. Like in that, and the fact that they didn't, like if they had started out that drive, given it to Tank, got to about the 50, and then whip out the trick play when Penn State's not, and even then, like as I'm watching that play unfold, Penn State's cornerback who was covering the guy Kobe Hudson was supposed to go to, like backed off of him. He was doing press man coverage, and he backed off like he saw something indicating that's where the play was going to go. I'm not sure it was indicating the trick play, but the point is that the one option, the corner did exactly what he's supposed to do to cover that trick play, to where not necessarily have Bo audible out of that, but I think there needs to be okay, we're going to be doing a jet sweep pass where there's only one option for Kobe Hudson to throw it to, and the cornerback has backed off 15 yards, then maybe calling a timeout at the beginning of the half is also a bad idea. But then again, fumbling it in your own in the red zone, your own red zone for that matter, is a bad idea too. So,
all right, we are talking Auburn and Penn State here on Compact Discourse this morning, joined by Alex and Davis. Hope you're having a fabulous Monday morning. Hope you are warm and dry wherever you are listening to us today. Don't go anywhere. We've still got plenty of Auburn and Penn State discussion to get to after a break. You're listening to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1, WeagleFM.com, Eagle Eye TV, and YouTube.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in about 2 minutes after these PSAs.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What? No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm gonna do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up.
See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time. What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
So you're giving up? Just like that?
Giving up on what?
On getting an inheritance from a distant relative.
Don't you think if there were a billionaire in the family, we'd know about it by now?
Listen to me. We are one phone call away from riding horses on our own private polo grounds. One call from christening yachts, having a butler, using summer as a verb.
How do you figure?
Look, everyone's got a rich uncle somewhere. It's statistics. So the best thing you can do is just prepare for the inevitable.
Right, which is why I thought maybe it would be smart to take control of my finances. You know, start using a budget, get out of debt, set some retirement goals.
Budgets? Debt? You watch your mouth. Retirement shouldn't be a goal for us. It should be a way of life.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I'm your host, Jack Hart. As always, joined alongside Alex Houston and Davis Carroll, welcoming you into the show. If you want to call in, you can do so at 334-844-9345. That's 334-844-WEGL. If lines are busy, please try again. All right, we are continuing our discussion about Auburn and Penn State over the weekend on Saturday night. But first, we got to get to your Auburn, Alabama weather report. Currently in Auburn, Alabama, it is a brisk 74 degrees, partly cloudy with a 16% chance of rain through 9 a.m., so plan accordingly. This afternoon, the rain is coming, though. We are dealing with an 80-degree temperature and scattered thunderstorms, a 66% chance of rain hitting the loveliest village on the plains this afternoon, with some overnight showers as well, about a 44% chance of rain overnight. Still looking at some interesting bands of rain, as rain's stretching right now from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan all the way through the country to Tampa, Florida. So a enormous band of rain sweeping across the country right now, and we are just going to have to deal with it as the rain is here to stay for the next 3 or 4 days, as the hot air and the cold air of autumn trying to push its way into summer is causing a bit of turmoil. So with that, we'll jump right back into Penn State. I will say a lot of people are pointing to the fumble, and rightfully so. You basically spot Penn State a touchdown. But I will say that after that fumble, I was very impressed with Auburn's resiliency to get back into the game, because it would be very easy to give up at that point, and a lot of people in the fan base probably did give up at that point because I think a lot of people felt like Auburn had to play perfect to get out of there with a win, and they overcame that. That was the only touchdown they allowed in the second half, I believe, was that one from 11 yards out. And
no, there were two. There was also the one after Jacoby McClain was kicked out for targeting.
Right. Okay. But the point still stands.
Yeah.
You really slowed down their offense to agree. And that was after something we'll get to later, which was a very busted play on defense. Yeah. So avoiding those mistakes, the defense, I think, stepped up. And when everyone did their job on defense, it was pretty much a brick wall, including two or three fourth down stops. So we'll get to that. And then so I kept bringing up that Auburn spotted Penn State a touchdown there, but everyone seems to quickly forget how Penn State dropped a pick six right before halftime. Yeah. So I'll it's very easy for me to just like an equation, just have those cancel out and not worry about them, because both teams made a mistake that was a 7-point swing, and we can move on to talk about other things.
Well, I mean, I of course find that more difficult, because I guess in regards to that pick six, I think that was even more a mistake because of the fact that what they did is they ran the exact same play back to back and expected Penn State not to expect them to do so, which was a bit jarring to me, because it was a 5-yard out route to John Samuel Shanker, who was really good in Saturday's game, by the way. I was very, very surprised by that. But yeah, I think that's certainly fair. I don't know. I always hesitate to open the half with a gimmicky type play when you might as well, you come out of halftime. I feel like you should have more of a game plan than the jet sweep pass. But what can I say? I'm somewhat negative constantly.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I used to have a show with you.
Yeah. I stayed positive on the show.
I don't hate gimmicky plays at the beginning because, I mean, they're not expecting it, just like if they're not expecting it if you run 5 run plays and then hit them with it.
Well, I mean, it seemed like they expected it because they covered it
just
because,
I mean, that could have happened if they ran 5 run plays before too. If the cornerback's well informed about the layout of the play, then they're gonna make a play on it.
I just don't think you need to run a trick play if nothing.
They
else
didn't need to, but they did.
I don't think you should unless you need to, is what I mean.
Then there's no need to run trick plays at all. Then
well, you
never need to run a trick play.
Yeah, when you run a trick play is when nothing else is working, because you're like, all right, time to go into our bag of tricks to try and find.
I like that.
Defense.
If he hadn't fumbled it, you wouldn't even remember it.
I mean, I still would.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
You'd be like, oh, well, it didn't work. We lost 2 yards. And if it had worked, you'd be like, that was amazing. Best play call I've ever seen.
That's also not what I would have.
Yes, you would have.
No, I would.
Okay, look, here's the thing. Here's the deal. I have an issue with the defense. I'll say it. What was his name? Sean Clifford?
Yes.
He only had like 4 incomplete passes.
Yeah.
The defense, the secondary, they had their moments, but like on the short routes, the intermediate routes, they were really just giving up everything. Right in the middle, they'd catch it, get a few extra yards. Even then, they'd just catch it and lay down, and it'd still be a first down after like 3rd and long. I think the defense, the secondary in specific, like I just said, need to really shore up on the maybe lean away from the zone more into man if possible.
I will
or
say
have a mix so they're not having wide open in the middle of the field.
I will say that, yeah. I'll get to you, Alex, in just a second. But in terms of halftime adjustments, Penn State was gashing Auburn on bootleg routes for the entire first half, and that pretty much stopped completely in the second. So I think changes were made defensively, which was another problem under the Malzahn regime, was it seemed that nothing changed at halftime. But I think this team came out completely differently in halftime and made adjustments there. But a lot of room for improvement. The defensive line got almost no pressure on Clifford for the entire game. He had a lot of plays that could have been completely blown up. He was given 10 seconds to pass and found somebody get open when you're dealing with a kind of lackluster defensive backcourt like Auburn has. And then another thing I'll say there is that right before halftime, when Sean Clifford does throw that long bomb interception, yes, it was a bit of an arm punt, but at the same time, the first time you put any kind of pressure on him all game, he panics and throws an interception. And the fact that you couldn't ever get another opportunity like that for the rest of the game, it's very underwhelming to see the defensive line play so underwhelmingly.
Yeah, it was interesting to me because the D-line in terms of run stopping was perfect. I mean, it would take Penn State up to 3 to 4 times on the goal line to gain just 2 yards, which by that point, you're asking a lot to keep a team out of the end zone when they're 2 yards away. In most cases, you don't get a 4-play goal line stand from the 2. You don't. But they still played well on that. In regards to the pass rush, it was a very odd defensive game plan for me because the game plan that the defense was seeming to run was they were going to never rush more than 4 and play zone the entire time, which counts on your defensive line to generate pressure, which they couldn't. I'm wondering if they expected them to do that, like expect them to be able to generate pressure on their own, because they clearly couldn't. Because what was more needed to happen was to dial up different blitz packages, which they did not do. Even that Sean Clifford hit that was an interception was because Zacoby McClain was playing a quarterback spy and decided, forget it, I'm just going to run up the middle and sack the quarterback, which he did a couple times that night. There were a couple times where he got in the backfield because he just said, forget playing the quarterback spy. Clifford's not going to run. I'm just going to go and attack the quarterback. It was just a very odd game plan because it is a game plan that Auburn could get away with in the past, say 2017 when your front 4 was as good as it was, but right now it's not. So I don't know why you would play that type of style. And it's the same style they kind of played last year where it's like, all right, we've got guys who are going to rush the quarterback, just these 4 guys, but they're not good enough to win one-on-one matchups. It's not a great front 4. In terms of run stopping, yeah, a bit better, but in terms of rushing the passer, not at all. And I thought that was just an interesting and frankly odd game plan from Derek Mason. But again, we'll see how it adjusts in the remainder of the season in that regard.
How did you feel about, I believe there were 2 or 3 plays that were complete busted assignments?
Yeah.
Maybe the lesser of which was Smoke Monday in the first quarter, just missing his assignments downfield and allowing big passing plays, and then the other being number 10, Penn State's running back, not sure who that is, getting completely unpicked up off the line and streaking a seam route for probably a 30-yard catch that went for a touchdown, or ended up going for a touchdown.
I think that points to the fact that maybe the game plan was not so bad, and the fact that the defense just didn't know how to run the zone that Derek Mason was trying to run, because in those cases, they weren't where they were supposed to be. And that was the most obvious, right? Because there wasn't anybody within 30 yards.
I think the most obvious was the touchdown where the guy was wide open in the corner of the end zone.
Exactly, yeah. I think
that was also Smoke Monday.
I think that's the same drive where he got burned down the right side.
Smoke Monday may have the best name on the team. He might be the worst defender on the team.
I think he's better. He's better at man. That's what he's better at.
I actually
zone's hard to do if you don't know your position.
I actually disagree with that strictly because of the fact that he's very slow. Like he's not quick enough to stay with most guys in coverage.
And put him at safety.
He is a safety.
I mean, like a.
Yes,
not like a zone safety.
They should probably run man with him just roaming and hitting whoever comes across the middle. That's correct, but they haven't run that yet.
Thank you. That's what I meant. Thank you for not just being like, you idiot. He is safety.
Well, I mean, okay. Anyway, but so I think that's another question is, are we allowed to criticize Mason's game plan, or was it the fact that the defense just didn't execute the game plan? Because again, if there's that many busted coverages, who's to say they aren't mildly busting the coverage in the middle of the game? It's just not as obvious. They're near the guy, so maybe that's just the game plan, when in reality they were supposed to be on him and they weren't. That's another thing that's interesting to me. I don't know what. And it's interesting that they won't run as much man when you've got people like Roger McCreary who are excellent one-on-one defenders. I think they've got the talent there. So I wonder if they'll change that up. I think it'll be interesting to see specifically against Georgia and LSU, because I don't think Georgia State will put up much of a challenge to the defense no matter what. So yeah, I'm very interested to see where the team goes over these next 4 weeks. This is really going to determine how the season is.
Do you think maybe, or do we have to go commercial break?
Say your thing.
Do you think maybe that they might be trying to be cloak and dagger with their game plan, or they're just trying to test out a zone against a team that's not as
doesn't have a mobile
quarterback? You can't really play zone against someone against a team that can also kill you on the ground. You're going to have to be closer to the running back, and they're going to get big gains. Maybe they try out zone against a more
and you can't play man against a mobile quarterback. That is also so. Yeah, I think zone is what a lot of college defenses are leaning on to, because every quarterback is mobile now. Like everybody is. You're rarely going to. I mean, the only people that still have pocket passers is Wisconsin. So
and Penn State apparently.
Well, I mean, Clifford had a couple of runs there. It's just the fact that Auburn put their 2 fastest linebackers and 2 of the fastest linebackers in the country to spy. It was Papo or it was McClain the whole game. And the one time it wasn't, it was because McClain got stuck trying to cover the running back, and then Clifford ran out. So it's I do wonder if they'll change it up against a less mobile team, but we'll see.
All right, well, we've talked defense, so when we come back from a break, we are going to talk about that Auburn offense, whether that be from Bo Nix, Tank Bigsby, or just the play calling in general. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I improved my credit score.
You're kidding, right?
No.
How are we supposed to be the bad boys of electro synth pop if you're out there being responsible? The band is about to be discovered. This is our year.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a while now.
You think anyone in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was worried about their credit score?
I never really thought that.
Of course they weren't. Rock stars aren't supposed to think about that kind of stuff. We're supposed to think about how many guitars we've smashed, write aggressively sensitive power ballads, start questionable fashion trends, tragically break up and blame creative differences.
All right. I thought maybe it was time to take control of my finances, you know? Start using a budget, get out of debt, set some goals.
A budget? Debt? Set some goals? Listen, I knew that we'd have our creative differences, but I was hoping they'd involve a little more scandal.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cool time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL at 91.1 FM. I'm your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside Davis Carroll and Alex Houston. We're talking Auburn football, of course. It is a Monday morning, so the Monday morning armchair quarterbacks are here to tell you what Auburn should have done on Saturday night in Happy Valley. I know you've got some thoughts on it, too, so go ahead and send those our way. That's 334-844-9345, or you can tweet at us at CDiscAU, at CDISCAU. We'd love to hear your opinion about the game on Saturday or anything else that happened over the weekend. All right, we talked ad nauseum about the defense and what Auburn has room to improve on and what they did well, but I think we would all like to talk to what has been the biggest bugbear for Auburn in the past 10 years, and that has, of course, been the offense as Bo Nix continues to be focused and have fun in the pocket. All right, let's get to the offense, Alex.
Bo was a lot better, I would say. A lot better on the road in this game than he's been in his career. But, you know, still, he shouldn't have thrown it 37 times, but that goes more on the play calling than even when before the game I said Auburn should not have Bo throw more than 35 times, and they did. And I don't know why, but they did. But he was a lot better on the road. You know, he had that one near pick six, but other than that, no costly mistakes. You know, a couple poor throws here and there, but it is what it is. I think he improved a lot, and I think people are still going after him. That just means they want to be hypercritical of Bo, which I always thought people did because people enjoyed it for whatever reason. But, I mean, the fact of the reality is Auburn has two beasts at running back and a third who wasn't able to be there and will be back. And just run the ball seems to be, I mean, they couldn't stop Tank, and Jarquez Hunter has the second most yards per carry in the entire nation right now, 12.2. So that was definitely a positive for me, was that, and the use of John Samuel Shanker as tight end. In the Gus offense, I really thought he was, based on what I had seen, I was like, oh, this guy's not going to be anything. He's just an H-back. He's very good. he was a menace against the Penn State defense on Saturday, and is definitely something I'd like to see Auburn do more of, is giving him the football and getting him in space, because I think he certainly can be a problem for opposing defenses. But
I don't want to have to rely on John Samuel Shanker too much.
I didn't say that either, but I think.
But I know. I mean, like, yeah, we need a tight end in the offense, but I think we should be throwing to the wide receivers more. And I don't feel like how many receptions did John Samuel Shanker have?
6, I think. He has 11 already this season, which is the most for an Auburn tight end since 2014.
I just feel like, I'm not saying we need to go more deep routes, because I don't think that's Bo's strong suit based on like the 2 or 3 that he threw that I really remember. I'm sure he threw more. But I feel like we just needed to get it to the wide receivers short, let them run with it, intermediate, let them get some to the sticks. I don't feel like that happens enough. Maybe I just don't remember. I have selective memory for the game.
I'm pulling up the stats right now if it would load.
I will say, as far as I think the wide receivers are maybe my biggest concern with Saturday, especially Demetrius Robertson. Was not very impressed by him. He had a few drops, and I thought his blocking on the screens was very lackluster. I think if Mike Bobo is going to call screens like that in crucial situations like that, you have to be more confident in your pass blocking and run blocking from your wide receivers. Then I thought that the tight ends and the line did a great job blocking.
Yeah.
But as far as if you're going to move the ball, spread out as much as Auburn is wanting to do with this new offense, and run to the sidelines and not cut up field and keep it on the short passes to the sidelines, I think the blocking needs to improve before you consistently rely on that as a means of offense.
I see no problem in throwing Shanker out there as a basically blocker, because I think he can be a threat to where it won't be like, oh, he's out here, so that means it's blocking. But I'm not surprised with the receivers. Like, I mean, maybe this sounds like pessimistic, but I mean, it's a receiving group and receiving core that was recruited by Gus Malzahn and Cody Burns, so I'm not really that surprised that it's not good. Like, I don't really know how. I mean, like, that's just. I mean, how many receivers did we see that were recruited to Auburn and were not good and then made it to the NFL, like Darius Slayton, who got exponentially better seemingly overnight once he got to a team in the NFL, right? So I'm not very surprised by it. I didn't expect. That's why I was thinking run the ball, because I didn't expect the receivers to be good, and I didn't think they were. I mean. And by the way, I got the numbers. Shanker only had 5 receptions out of Bo's 21 completions.
It felt like he had like 1,000.
Well, I mean, he was the most reliable guy, so I'm fine with that, to be honest. Again, like, I don't want to rely on the tight end, but the rest of the receiving core is not.
I think the biggest thing for the receiving core is they don't have the big-bodied 50-50 ball guy like they did with Seth Williams last year. All the receivers are kind of slot receivers, quick route runners. I think they do have issues with drops at this moment. Hopefully they can work on that, get better throughout the season. But I think the offense needs to look into how to use them correctly instead of sending them down deep. Hope they catch a 50-50 ball, which, I mean, like, Shed Jackson's probably the best with that. And he's only like, I don't even know, maybe like 6'1" is my guess. I think they need to start running more like routes where they can actually get open in space so they can have some room to work after, personally. That's easier said than done, of course.
That's fair. I think they should just run the ball. I mean,
you can't run the ball all game. We're not Army.
Well, I mean, people haven't stopped him yet, so until they do, or
okay, we can run him 30 times a game and he gets hurt, and then we lose Tank.
Well, that's why you've got.
Is that what you want,
that's
Alex?
Why you've got. That's
okay.
why you got 3 running backs, and it's not about. It's first of all, it's not about. It wasn't about the amount of times that Carolina was run that got injured. It was the fact that he was on the jumbotron, clearly in agony in the third quarter, and the whole stadium knew it, and they ran it 15 more times. It's not about the number of carries to get somebody injured. It's just noticing when they are and then taking them out of the game.
I'm also for more running, but you have to have a good amount of passing in there to switch it up.
And they did.
But I like passing. I think we need to have a good amount of passing. I'm not going to give a solid number, but
because passing's vital, as we saw at the end of the game.
I just don't think that in any game.
If you want Bo to be a dark horse for Heisman, he's got to throw it.
I don't think he is, but I don't think in any game the trio of Hunter, Shivers, and Bigsby should have less carries than Bo has passing attempts. And in that case, it was close, but they did. It was 32-37. I mean, And it wasn't like it was 32 carries and Tank was averaging 3 yards a carry and Hunter was averaging 2 yards a carry. The running backs as a whole averaged 4.6 yards a carry, which included Kobe Hudson's negative 10 yards. Without it, they averaged over 5 yards a carry. So maybe I'm thinking it's too simple, but as of right now, I haven't seen anybody that can stop it. Doesn't mean run it to every play, but
what would you like the ratio to be? Number wise,
like exact numbers or like percentage?
Just give me numbers around a certain number.
I would say 60% running, 40% passing.
A number, not a percentage.
Okay, so
I would have said percentage if I want a percentage.
So if they ran 80 plays, right? If they ran 80 plays, I would say it'd be more 45 running, 35 passing, which it was not.
Okay, fair.
So, again, I don't need it to be Army.
You should email Harsin.
No. Again, I'm not pretending to be an expert. I'm just saying based on.
That'd be funny though. You'd be like, "Hello, Brian. I think you should run it more."
I think this fits with our 4th and 1 mentality.
I think you should do that.
No,
What's the worst he's gonna do? Be like, no.
The worst.
He's not gonna arrest you.
I'm not gonna do that. That'd be a ridiculous idea.
What?
By the way, what did you guys think of the 4th and 1 call to kick the field goal? A lot of people seemed angry about that.
I
was
liked
wondering.
it.
Yeah.
When was that? I don't even remember.
It was in the 3rd quarter. It was 4th and 1, and everyone was like, "Why aren't you going to go for it?"
It was to make it 21-20.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and they
yeah.
took the points, and everyone was like, "Just run it with Tank." But the previous play, Tank got stuffed for no gain. So like, it wasn't like exact science. He keeps gaining 6 yards a carry. I thought it was fine. I don't know why people reacted so dramatically to it.
I was very confident in the defense at that point, and rightfully so. I think if it weren't for that, I can't remember. That was the number 10 catching the 30-yard busted pass, was the only thing that led to a Penn State score for the rest of the quarter, for the rest of the game even at that point. So I think if you take the points there and that play doesn't happen, even holds Penn State to that wouldn't have happened to hold them to a field goal, but if you stop Penn State, which they did pretty much consistently throughout the entire second half, including a couple 4th down stops, the defense was very clutch in that sense. And then you can come down, and at the end of the game, you don't even need that 4th and 1 call because you just kick a field goal and you win 23-21.
Yeah, I mean, I was completely fine with it.
With how low scoring that game was, you absolutely needed to take the points there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just I think it's the right call. I think the thing is here's how it works: is whatever the team gets, the people wanted the opposite. It's like. I can think back to 2019 LSU where Auburn's in field goal range and Gus is like, yes, throw a fade over Derek Stingley, who was the best cornerback on the planet at the time. And Gus is like, we came to win. And I'm like, in this low-scoring game, you didn't take the field goal? Really? And and this is the same thing in this. Like, if Auburn goes for it and doesn't get it, everybody yells that they should have kicked a field goal.
Yeah.
Just like if Auburn kicks field goal, like, oh, well, we lost by 8, so you should have went for the touchdown. It's ridiculous. I mean,
in the moment and after the fact, I didn't love that that's what it came to, but I understand why you make that decision, and I think it was the correct decision.
Exactly.
And maybe even a game-winning decision if one or two things bounced differently.
Exactly. I mean, I was completely fine with it, and I thought it was the right call. So,
all right, we're gonna have to head to a quick break. But you are listening to Compact Discourse. We've talked plenty of Auburn football, so we'll get to more college football around the country, including the top 25 and some interesting matchups around the nation. All right, you're listening to Compact Discourse. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 5 minutes on the other side of this break. It's already 9 a.m. We've been at it for an hour already, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM, WeGLFM.com.
Tiffany, I have some tips for you on how to quit smoking like I did. First, I did some reading about it. I found a lot of great advice on how to quit smoking and picked out the ways I thought would work best for me. I started by setting a quit date. Then I threw out my ashtrays, lighters, and matches. I did other things too, like exercising more, and it worked. But I'd still get cravings, especially on long car rides. To help me with that, I put a picture of my mother in my car. She died of lung cancer from smoking cigarettes when I was only 16. Now I have a 16-year-old daughter. That picture of my mother reminds me that I don't want to miss all the things my daughter is going to do in her life, including turning 17.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Getting support from friends online kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
Instead of smoking after I ate, I'd get up and take a walk.
I missed having a cigarette in my hand, so I'd hold a pen or a straw, anything.
Until I knew I wouldn't give in to temptation, I spent more time with my friends who didn't smoke.
I went to places that were smoke-free.
I didn't stay quit the very first time I tried.
I kept on trying, and I learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
I quit.
I quit.
I quit.
We did it, so can you.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
It's the top of the hour, about 9 a.m., and you're still listening to WEGL 91.1 FM. Well, you made it this far. Go get yourself a cup of coffee. You've earned it.
I really need a cup of joe, and if I don't get one, I think I might blow a gasket, and it's not a pretty sight.
We'll be right back in a few minutes with the second half of the show. Thank you so much for listening to Compact Discourse.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole, or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school? Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions? No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school? Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul. No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework. Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review? No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized. I think I understand. Oh, good. Finding best potatoes for French fries. No! Russet, fingerling, Yukon Gold. Why don't you understand me? Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. We hope you're enjoying the sports edition of today's show, as we do on Mondays and Thursdays. Join us tomorrow and Wednesday for the not sports edition of Compact Discourse, as we talk, music, lifestyle, what's going on campus, and everything else, including probably, as I'm joined by Chris Tobias and Jacob Hillman tomorrow, our trips up to Happy Valley. So interesting. We'll talk about that. We had a fantastic time. Win, lose, or draw. It's always great to be an Auburn Tiger. All right, so we are continuing our discussion about college football around the country. I'm Jack Hard, joined alongside Alex Houston and Davis Carroll. That's co-sports director Alex Houston, and Davis Carroll. Davis, I know you got some exciting additions to WEGL coming up in the near future is what I hear.
Today at 4 is the planned first show for my new hip hop show. Are you with that? D. Javis is not my official DJ name.
It is
though.
absolutely his official name. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, Davis was clearly in agony and stress over making this show perfect for all of you. So I hope you tune in.
I was? Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was really.
Oh my gosh, he was like, this is hard. Maybe this is a bad idea. Like on Thursday,
running a radio show is very difficult.
Yes,
It isn't easy, but I wasn't in agony. I wasn't like.
It's called
toiled over.
Davis.
I wasn't like toiled over in pain.
Sell yourself, Davis.
All right, and that was a hanging slider that Davis was caught looking. That was a wonderful pitch.
I think
from Alex. All right. If you want to call into the show, that's 334-844-9345, 334-844-WEGL. If you want to get your college football opinions on the show, let's jump right into the discussion with the college top 25 scoreboard. Let's jump right into it. On Saturday, it was number 25 Michigan over Northern Illinois, 63-10. They ran for 8 rushing touchdowns in that game. Michigan State scores 21 points in the fourth quarter to blow out Miami, 38-17 in South Beach. It was a shootout in Chapel Hill as North Carolina hangs 59 on Virginia, 59-39. Brennan Armstrong, the UVA quarterback, throws 4 touchdowns on 54 passes. Arkansas blows out Georgia Southern 45-10. BYU defeats Arizona State 27-17 in a Pac-12 After Dark matchup. The high-octane offense of Ole Miss hangs 61 on Tulane. 7 touchdowns for Matt Corral in that one. Coastal Carolina heads up to upstate New York and pulls off the victory against Buffalo 28-25. West Virginia takes some country roads to defeat Virginia Tech 27-21. Iowa State blows out UNLV 48-3. Fresno State with the big upset over UCLA and Chip Kelly. Pac-12 in trouble early once again. 40-37 go the Bulldogs in the Rose Bowl. Notre Dame all over Purdue 27-13. Jack Cohn went 15 for 30 and 2 touchdowns in that one. Of course, Auburn falls to Penn State 20-28 in Happy Valley. Penn State scores a touchdown in all 4 quarters of that one. Ohio State has troubles early but comes out with a victory against Tulsa 41-20. Cincinnati travels up to Bloomington and defeats Indiana 38-24. Texas A&M takes care of business at home against the Lobos of New Mexico 34-0. Clemson gets a bit of a scare from the Jackets of Yellow of Georgia Tech 14-8. Iowa all over Kent State 30-7. Oregon all over Stony Brook 48-7. Oklahoma surprisingly only wins by 7 against Nebraska 23-16. Georgia handles South Carolina 40-13 at home in their conference opener. And then the game of the week, it was number 1 Alabama traveling down to the Swamp to take on number 11 Florida. Alabama scores 21 in that first quarter, and that is enough to hang on as the Gators try to come back but fall just short. Bama comes out of the Swamp with a 2-point victory, 31-29. And that is your top 25 college football scoreboard for week 3.
Florida State's bad.
Florida State is bad. They are outside the top 25, obviously, so we did not mention them. But
sorry. Yeah, that was one of my biggest things this week. I'm sorry.
So yeah, other notable games from the weekend. Did you guys happen to catch Louisville UCF on Friday night?
That was about as Gus of a game as it gets, I would say.
Unbelievable matchup.
Great game, though.
The pair of interceptions that got thrown in the second half, into the game, rather,
yes.
in the waning minutes of the game. Electric atmosphere in Papa John name redacted stadium.
Did Gus get scared sometime on the way to UCF? Because he is completely gray now.
He's been gray since he got down there. He's adopted the retired guy look pretty much instantly.
Someone jumped out and scared him when he was driving down there.
I think it was Nick Saban sprays his hair, I must do the same kind of thing. And now that he's
He looks like he could be in a crime show set in Miami.
He very likely might be the best coach in Florida, so I don't think there's not too much stress about that right now. What?
Crazy thing to say, Alex.
I don't like Dan Mullen. I'm sorry.
I don't like him either.
Yeah.
All right.
Well.
Other notable games outside the top 25. Kentucky improves to 3-0, but barely hangs on against University of Tennessee Chattanooga, 28-23. Western Michigan pulls off the upset against Pitt. They win 44-41 in Heinz Field. Army blows out the hapless Yukon Huskies, 52-21. Army improves to 3-0. Minnesota travels to Folsom Field and wins 30-0. Kansas State defeats Nevada at home, 38-17. SMU upsets Louisiana Tech, 39-37, and improves to 3-0 on the season. Baylor 45-7 over Kansas in Lawrence, as Kansas is the team. I'm trying to
the Jayhawks.
The Jayhawks woes continue. USC bounces back in a big way and heads up to Pullman and blows out the Wildcat Cougars of Washington State, 45-14. Wake Forest all over those Knolls, 35-14. Memphis gets a big upset win over Mississippi State and improves to 3-0. They won 31-29. The first battle of the smart schools, Duke defeats Northwestern 30-23. Hold on. I got it. East Carolina with a big comeback win over Marshall, 42-38. Sorry, I had a little burp.
No one would have ever known.
San Diego State defeats Utah, who's now 1-2 after starting the season in a promising fashion. San Diego State improves to 3-0 as they win 33-31 over the Utes. UAB blows out North Texas 40-6. Utah State in a shootout with Air Force, they win that one 49-45. In the second battle of the smart schools, it is Stanford all over Vanderbilt 41-23. Oklahoma State with a 1-point victory over Boise State. No points scored in the second half of that one. And if you were like Jacob Hillman and you stayed up way past your bedtime on Saturday night and into Sunday morning to watch those Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii play the San Jose Spartans, you were treated to a Herculean effort by the San Jose State Spartans to defeat Hawaii 17-13.
Wow, what a game.
That is
what a game.
Your college football scoreboard games of note from week 3. All right, what stood out to you guys? I know we were all kind of busy on Saturday, so maybe not a chance to catch all the games, but did anything stick out in your mind? Did you guys watch the Bama game?
I did watch the
I
Bama
watched the
game.
end of it as well, yes.
I watched the whole thing. Or most of it, I'd say. I watched most of it. I watched, after the first quarter when Bama was up big and then Florida started to come back.
Does Bama look vulnerable?
Florida looked really good against them. Bama still looked dominant at times, like Bama does. But once Florida really, they went downfield easily, the defense was able to score in the red zone pretty well, I'd say. But they just weren't able to convert that 2-point conversion. And I think there was I don't know if it was a pick six, but Bama did get a pick off of whatever the quarterback of Florida's name is.
Emory Jones is his name.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Florida looked pretty good. Bama, I said maybe vulnerable?
I think they are, but here's what Bama's doing is, Nick Saban is the master of adapting to. He took a little while in terms of the game manager quarterbacks must stay, even though they were not very good. But this is Bama now, is they are not a team that's going to have a dominating defense, but they will be able to outscore you on any given day. And that's very likely the same team that we're seeing this year. And who are they vulnerable against,
That's what I'm worried about.
They're not going to play Georgia until the SEC championship game.
And that troubles me because Georgia looks very strong after having a slow start to the season.
I think that is the case, but I also think Kirby Smart, much like Dan Mullen, always finds a way to lose important games. So I would say that I just don't buy into the idea that Georgia's a threat to Alabama has been dead since 2012 to me. I can't really begin to just like I just don't believe Bama could actually be beaten by anybody at this point.
Any former Saban coordinator?
Yeah, specifically yes, exactly, because like that has reached like mythical numbers in the fact that he's like what 20-0 again. It's some absurd
it's
number.
Approaching Bama's record against unranked opponents.
It's like it's an insane number, and I mean, like really, Nick Saban's only kryptonite is Auburn at home when they have 9 wins, and that's like it. And I don't know. I mean, I've been tricked into thinking they look vulnerable before, and then they would go and drop 70 on LSU in Death Valley, and I'd be like, oh, maybe not. So it's a wait and see thing. A lot of teams are vulnerable in the Swamp. The Swamp is a great place. I mean, you talk about hostile environment, it doesn't get more hostile than that place. So
we're going to continue talking about college football, including a lot of teams in the top 10 struggling mightily this weekend, including Clemson and Oklahoma. Will there be a shake-up as the season progresses? You are listening to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 2 minutes after these messages.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school? Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions? No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school? Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul. No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework. Home walk restaurant. Need a review? No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized. I think I understand. Oh, good. Finding best potatoes for French fries. No! Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold. Why don't you understand me? Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I'm your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside Davis Carroll and Alex Houston. We're talking college football for this segment, and then we'll move on to pro football from over the weekend. I know we have a lot to talk about there, including the Washington football team win on Thursday night and the Carolina Panthers win on Sunday, as well as that absolutely insane Sunday night game where Lamar Jackson gets his first win over the Kansas City Chiefs. But that is all for later in the show. We got some college football to talk about, including Nebraska traveling to Norman, Oklahoma to reinstill the Big 8 rivalry on the 50th anniversary, maybe 40th anniversary of the game of the century, as it were, between Nebraska and Oklahoma. Obviously, those two programs are in very different locations on the college football landscape now, to the point that Fox would rather show regular season baseball in the primetime slot and punt these guys to 11 a.m. local time. But Nebraska was not discouraged by that and put up quite the fight against the Oklahoma Sooners, only losing by 7 in a game where Oklahoma was favored by over 3 touchdowns. Did you guys catch this? Did you guys check this out?
I did not catch the game itself, but it is Oklahoma, and they found a way to look horrible this year. So, I've been against Nebraska, so I was very surprised that Scott Frost found a way to not lose by a lot. So good for him. But, Oklahoma, sure they did beat Western Carolina 76-0, but they also barely beat Tulane.
Is this the best thing that Scott Frost has done for his job security in the past year and a half? Lose a game, but not that bad.
It very well might be because they've currently got Michigan State, Northwestern, and Michigan on the slate. They're going to go 1-2 in that at least. They're not going to beat Michigan State, and they're not going to beat Michigan. So having I didn't lose that badly. In fact,
we didn't get embarrassed on a game some people were sleeping during.
What I'm looking at right now, Nebraska's not going to make a bowl game. Even if they don't have enough cupcakes on their schedule to even win. They have Michigan State, Northwestern, Michigan, Minnesota at Minnesota, Purdue. Then they finish out with Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Iowa.
And that's something I know Bay and Jacob talked about on the scoreboard, is that if there are enough holes in the ship come before that 3-game stretch, they might just go ahead and fire Frost and get it out of the way before he has to play those.
Legitimately, they might have 70 put on when they go to Camp Randall on November 20th. And not to mention, Iowa is very likely going to be visiting Memorial Stadium with, they could very well be 9-2. Their only games that I think Iowa's going to lose are Penn State and Wisconsin, but Penn State is at Kinnick Stadium.
I think best case for Nebraska at this point is 4-8.
Yeah. Well, the best case would be 5-7, winning Northwestern, Minnesota, and Purdue. I don't think they can. But that's certainly the best case scenario. I just don't think there's much of a chance of that because I don't think of those teams, they're going to beat Northwestern, and Minnesota's very all over the place right now, so they could beat Minnesota. But I don't know if they beat Minnesota on the road, and then Purdue, again, is also Purdue. So just a very interesting. And, man, the Big 12 is ouch. Or Big 10, excuse me, not Big 12. But
another team that struggled mightily over the weekend was the Clemson Tigers, number 6 in the land. DJ Ugalele is my attempt at that. He and the entire Clemson offense struggled against a pretty hapless Georgia Tech team. They only put up 2 touchdowns, and it appears Georgia Tech got stifled on offense. I think they only got 2 field goals, maybe a safety. I guess that's how you put up 5 in the fourth quarter. But Clemson only wins that one by 6 against a bottom-tier ACC program in Georgia Tech. So offense continues to be a problem for Clemson as their schedule is going to be getting interesting as well, as they have to travel to NC State, which is a semi-difficult game. However, they are at home against Boston College and at Syracuse, 2 very winnable games. And then they have to travel to Pittsburgh, which we all know is a very difficult environment to play in. But as far as I'm concerned, Clemson can, as bad as they are, really ride out this. They have a very easy schedule. Extremely. Yeah. After Pittsburgh, they have Florida State, which we don't even have to get to. Louisville, which showed promise on Friday night, but I don't think it's a very good program. UConn, one of the worst teams possibly ever. Wake Forest, which made Florida State look bad. And then you have at South Carolina to end out the season, which they're still starting a grad student at quarterback.
Yeah, and I would say even with Pitt just lost at home to Western Michigan. So even that, and again, the Pitt Magic, knows no bounds. They can be 5-7 and still beat a top-ranked team. That's what they do. But
Clemson has an absolute joke of a schedule this year.
I will say if they're undefeated and they finish out this season not with very dominating wins, not Georgia Tech where they only win by 6, but if they don't look good, do you leave them out of the playoff?
Well, they still have to go to the ACC championship.
True, but to play who?
Presumably Virginia Tech or North Carolina. Which North Carolina could be good.
Let's go Hokies.
Offense. But Virginia Tech also just lost to West Virginia.
That's true. They did. Losing to a West Virginia team that I honestly did not expect to even win that game, despite the fact that it was at home.
But, at this point, I don't like Clemson against either Virginia Tech or North Carolina. Though, when you can only put up 14 against Tech.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting to see what they'll do because right now we're looking at a playoff with a number of undefeated teams that could be left out. We could have a left out Clemson. We could have a left out Notre Dame. You could end up having you very likely are going to end up with a left out Coastal Carolina that could be undefeated, a left out Cincinnati possibly, depending Notre Dame or Cincinnati. One of those teams I think will go undefeated. So it's going to be a very interesting year for the playoff, and this is the last year before it's expanded, right? Like they expanded for next year.
This I do not know. I'm not a scholar.
I shall Google.
But we can hop on over to the Pac-12. Speaking of the playoff, are they on the outs? Does Oregon make it? Because UCLA has been dashed, and USC has been dashed, and Arizona State also lost. So the only undefeated team left in the Pac-12, and the only way for a Pac-12 team to get to the playoff is to remain undefeated. At this point is Oregon. Now Oregon, who did not look good against Fresno State, although maybe Fresno's just good because they went in and won in the Rose Bowl, and then they defeated Ohio State, obviously. But this team also has a pretty easy schedule, considering they play in the Pac-12. So if Oregon gets to an undefeated Oregon, can you hold them out of the playoff?
I don't think you hold them out. I think they got that signature win against Ohio State.
That win against Ohio State is.
They will have something that Clemson will not. They will have something that Notre Dame will not, or seemingly Cincinnati will not. So I don't know how you do unless Georgia and Alabama both finish undefeated and the SEC championship is decided by 3 points. In which case, then you've got the problem of Alabama, Georgia, possibly an Iowa, or an Ohio State that runs the table following the Oregon defeat. Then again, how do you leave Oregon out and Ohio State in is an important question. I don't think Ohio State should get in anyway, but it's going to be, again, just a very interesting road to the playoff with a lot of teams that could go undefeated and a lot of teams that could pose a lot of questions for, what do you do? So.
Okay. Is that going to do it for college football?
I was just looking up what hokey means.
I think it's a turkey.
It is a turkey.
But also, apparently they used to be called the Gobblers, and one of the reasons they think they were called that is because their student athletes gobbled up food. That's from the Virginia Tech website.
That sounds not true.
It says it right here. One story claims it resulted from the way athletes would gobble up their food.
Citation?
Virginia Tech Traditions webpage. The school webpage.
Okay. Well, if I've learned anything from an Auburn University campus tour, it's that universities aren't exactly truthful in the stories they tell to recruits.
I heard some guy when he was giving a little tour to the parents, and he was just being like, "Yeah, I come to your study, but actually I don't study at all. I'm really bad at studying." He was just laying it out there.
He was being like a cool anti-hero for the kids. Yeah, so just taking a look at the college football landscape before we move on to professional football on the other side of this break. The SEC West continues to be the Division II beat as 5 of its 7 teams are currently ranked in the top 25. That's Alabama at number 1, Texas A&M at number 7, Ole Miss at number 13, Arkansas at number 16, and Auburn at number 23. So 4 of the 7 obviously blows out any other division in, I think, no one else even has 2 except for the SEC East. So there you go.
Heck yeah.
Start the chant, if you will.
Can we start a petition to drop Texas A&M out of the top 10?
Well, they haven't lost yet, Alex.
You silly kid.
What the? Kid?
What? Silly Alex. Tricks are for kid. Whatever. Alex, look, they haven't lost yet. Get over it. Just wait for Auburn to beat them.
When do you think they're going to lose next?
Whenever they play Alabama. When did they play Alabama?
I'm looking.
I'm also looking.
Do they play Alabama before or after Auburn?
Arkansas, Mississippi State. Do you think they'll beat Arkansas?
No. Is it in? No, it's at Fayetteville. No, they're not going to beat Arkansas. They're not going to beat Alabama. They're not going to beat.
It might be a neutral site game. Let me check.
Why would it be neutral?
It's AT&T. Yeah.
That's right. They do it at AT&T. Boo. As I saw on Twitter after the Auburn-Penn State game, let us ban neutral site games that are not traditionally neutral site games. Like, I don't think this one was either. I just think neither of them wants to play at College Station or Fayetteville because there's nothing in either of those places.
Wow. Okay.
Am I wrong?
So does A&M beat Arkansas next weekend?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'll say no either.
The die has been cast. That is a game that Arkansas has historically performed very well in, but has never won.
True.
They always
it's a new era, though.
They always kind of take A&M to the wire, but end up blowing it somehow. So,
well,
we'll see
A&M
if
was
that-
taken to the wire by Kent State.
It's
so.
the year. This is the year.
All right, we're going to head to a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to be talking the NFL, as it was an exciting weekend of NFL football across the country. So, don't go anywhere. You're listening to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM, WeagleFM.com, and Eagle Eye TV. Thank you.
Making it green is making sure the air in your home is healthy for your family to breathe. Make sure you test your home for the presence of radon. It's easy. To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN. Preserve your family's health and well-being. Get your home tested. That's living healthy and green. Make sure you test your home for the presence of radon. It's easy. To learn more, call 866-730-GREEN.
A message from the US EPA.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth? You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman. Let's break for lunch.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I'm your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside Davis Carroll and Alex Houston. We're going to talk about some NFL football. We're going to jump right into it with your scoreboard. Alex has to get out of here in a minute, so we will let him talk about his beloved
Nah, you don't have to.
Washington football team. But quickly, we're going to do the NFL scoreboard. And all right, now we're going to do the NFL scoreboard. For some reason, it has the Monday night game for this week listed. Never mind. All right. On Thursday, it was the Washington football team getting a victory finally over the New York Giants, 30-29. On Sunday, it was the Joe Burrow show as he throws 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions against the Bears, but the Bears win that one 20-17. Out in Cleveland, Baker Mayfield gets hurt. So does Tyrod Taylor, but the Browns come out victorious, 31-21. in Indianapolis. The Rams are victorious over the Colts 27-24. Tua goes down in South Beach, and the Bills run away with that one 35-0. The Bills win that one. Mac Jones gets his first win as a Patriot as they blow out the Jets 25-6. Defensive struggle in the link as the 49ers come out victorious over Jalen Hurts and the Eagles 17-11. The surprising Las Vegas Raiders and Derek Carr beat the Steelers in Hines 26-17. Derek Carr 28 of 37 for 2 tutties in that one. It was a stifling defensive effort for Carolina as they sack Jameis Winston and come over a big upset win in Carolina 26-7 over the Saints. Trevor Lawrence drops to 0-2 in his NFL career, and Teddy Bridgewater goes 2-0 as the Broncos are 23-13 victors over the Jags in Jacksonville. Cardinals 1-point victory over the Vikes 34-31. Kyler Murray 400 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Buccaneers put on an offensive show as they blow out the Falcons 48-25. Cowboys get a W against the Chargers 20-17. Titans and Seahawks go to overtime. Derrick Henry scores 3 touchdowns, and the Titans come away victorious 33-30 over Pete Carroll's Seahawks. And on Sunday Night Football, NBC, your game of the week, an unbelievable performance as Lamar Jackson and the Ravens come away victorious 36-35 over Patrick Mahomes and those Kansas City Chiefs. All right, takeaways from this NFL week. I think this NFL season is shaping up to be awesome.
I agree. The Broncos could very well become the worst 3-0 team of all time next week as they take on the Jets, which means their 3 opponents to open the season will be the New York Giants, who have 1 winning season since 2013 and whose owner decided taunting is bad. And then also, they'll have beaten the Jacksonville Jaguars, who look awful, but it's Urban Meyer. What do we expect? And then the New York Jets, who, wow, they're bad. Like, really bad.
Like, Zach Wilson throws 2 passes for 2 interceptions to start the game bad.
Yes. More like it was off the receiver's hands. At least I didn't see the clips, but that's what people said. I don't.
One of them was.
Okay,
the other 3 was his fault.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And even the one that was off Corey Davis's hands was a little high anyway.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Zach Wilson goes 19 for 33, 210 yards, and 4 interceptions as the Patriots run away with that one.
So the Broncos could be 3-0 when they head to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, and I believe that game will be. Don't have that. That game will be a Sunday 3:25 game. But then they have the Ravens, Steelers, Raiders, and Browns. They could end up being 3-4 by week 7. Difficult to say though, but yeah, I think that's crazy. It's just been a fun year. Hopefully nothing too serious with Tua, because I know Miami fans are tired of that, and that being pain. I don't know. But yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Taylor Heineke has the most completions of any quarterback in their first 3 games ever, so that's pretty exciting.
Former Panther Taylor Heineke.
Taylor Heineke threw 46 passes on Thursday night.
Yes, he has the most completions of any quarterback in their first 3 starts, like ever, in the history of.
I like Taylor Heineke.
And hey, we're no longer 0-5 against, we're no longer winless against Daniel Jones. That was pretty much the highlight of my life, was finally getting a win, even though he still looked like Joe Montana.
Fumble master Daniel Jones.
He didn't fumble it because they can get any pressure. But yeah, it's an exciting year. How about Jameis turning back into Jameis against the Panthers? That was hilarious.
The Panthers defense was just
all
over
he didn't
him.
have much of a choice. Either the offensive play calling or his line was giving him absolutely no help.
You want to hear some fun facts about the Panthers defense?
Go ahead.
Panthers currently lead the league in yards allowed per game, points allowed per game, passing yards allowed per game, rushing yards allowed per game, sacks, QB hits, and defensive third down percentage.
Oh,
wow. Chris was also telling me that was the first time the Saints have been held under some amount of points for the second time ever, or the first time ever under Sean Payton, first time since before 2011.
Wow.
And then also Alvin Kamara in that game, I think he caught 4 passes for 25 yards. He rushed 8 times for 5 yards.
Good.
That is unfortunate.
This defensive line for the Panthers is looking good.
Brian
Burns,
Derek Brown. Unbelievable performance by those guys.
I will say what I saw in the brief clips, Jameis made it pretty easy. His 2 interceptions were hilarious. One of them, he goes falling down and just launches it. The other one, he's got his check down receiver 10 yards in front of him and throws it, and it goes 30 yards in the air into the arms of a waiting Panthers
I will say
defender,
to defend
which was
Jameis a
funny.
little bit, both of those were in end-of-half situations. One was garbage time. One was to end the first half. But the offense did not look good for New Orleans at all.
Which
especially begs a lot of questions about Green Bay after a stifling performance in Jacksonville last weekend.
Definitely.
And speaking of Jacksonville and unbelievable performances, Trevor Lawrence goes 14 of 33 for 118 yards and 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown in that game against the Broncos. So, I mean, obviously, one guy is not going to fix your team, but are we disappointed in Trevor's performance so far?
57.1 QBR or passer rating through his first 2 games.
Which, that is a lot different from QBR, and that is a lot worse. Because you can go up to 156 with a quarterback rating, so for reference. But I'm more concerned with 33 passing attempts when you have James Robinson, a proven running back.
Yeah, he went 11 carries for 47 yards.
Only 16 carries is alarming to me. Again, I'm not saying, this is the modern NFL. You can't rely on running backs necessarily, but 33 passing attempts for your rookie quarterback with a bad offensive line and bad wide receivers is bold to me.
How do we feel about the Las Vegas Raiders, 2-0, taking down a great team in the Ravens and a team the jury's still out on in the Steelers? Could this be the Raiders' year to challenge the Chiefs in the West, considering how well Derek Carr has been playing?
The Steelers I watched most of that game. The Steelers really didn't look like anything at all.
Derek Carr threw for almost 400 yards on Sunday. So, I don't know. I've always liked Derek Carr.
Gruden's coaching for his job, and as is Carr, essentially, because Carr was reaching a Matt Stafford point where, a few good years with wins, but every other year it was you were decent and your team was not very good. And most teams do not do it like the Lions and keep Stafford around for years. They cut him loose, tank, and get a new quarterback. So Carr and Gruden and Mayock, for that matter, all really right now doing it for their job, because Mark Davis is not as trigger happy as Al Davis was, but he can be. And I think that was certainly
Mark Davis
exactly what they need.
Notoriously has the worst haircut in the NFL.
And that's a hotly contested race.
That's true with John Gruden's own as a
Mark Davis is way worse than John Gruden's.
And now I get you, but I was talking about the race. There's quite a few selections, John Gruden included. Sometimes
Antonio Brown's Lego haircut.
Hey, that was genius. I don't know what you're talking about.
Genius. All right, continuing our discussion, the biggest headline I think on Sunday was the injuries to quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and with a certain individual who may or may not have a statue about 40 yards from this spot waiting in the wings, that can't be ignored.
Oh,
Alex didn't know who you were talking about. Oh,
because
you had Tyrod Taylor, you had
Sullivan. When you led with statue,
Alex, come on, man.
When you led with, sorry.
So you had Tyrod goes down, Baker Mayfield goes down, Derek
Jackson.
Carr not out for good, but he did have a little scare. There was a lot of quarterback woes yesterday in the NFL. So what does that mean for Mr. Cam Newton?
I still doubt he's going to get picked up.
Do you think he can learn the Texans offense in 3 days and beat his former team on Thursday Night Football?
I don't think any team's going to pick him up. I think the likeliest landing spot for him is a team that already has an offense molded to his skill set, which most teams do not.
The Patriots.
No.
Oh.
A team like the Ravens or the Eagles, who run an offense that's more suited for Cam rather than a lot of other teams. Just because the simple fact is you're not getting Cam to throw 33 times like Trevor Lawrence, and even Trevor Lawrence can't do that evidently.
Mm-hmm.
As seen with the Patriots, it's going to be a more running with the quarterback style offense, which most teams don't run. Like even Ron Rivera, who formerly ran that offense, did not pick him up. So
any team that has a quarterback that's still trying to prove themselves, I don't see them
exactly.
signing Cam. I could see the Bills maybe sign him as a backup since Sean McDermott is the head coach.
True, but they already have Trubisky, who impressed which is a bizarre thing.
Trubisky.
Is Tyrod Taylor still trying to prove himself?
Yeah, in the
but
process.
I mean, but he's not like a rookie quarterback that if he messes up, people are gonna be like, put Cam in. You could either have Tyrod, or you could have Cam, and if they play bad, someone's not gonna be like, put the other one in.
I don't think the Texans are gonna get him because I think the Texans are trying to make it out of this season with as little controversy and news as possible after the already chaos that is whatever the heck is going on with Deshaun Watson. And
yeah, unless the quarterback really gets hurt, like rest of the season hurt, I don't think Cam's gonna see a signing anytime soon, sadly.
If Heineke also gets hurt and then Kyle Allen gets hurt, then maybe Washington would go for Cam.
Maybe Washington, maybe the Lions if they give up on Goff halfway through the season.
But I just think it's going to be a team that I mean I don't know because is Cam one of those? Is Cam a Fitzpatrick where you can bring him in and win?
I can see the Colts.
That's true, but I think they're trying to stick with Wentz.
Carson Wentz, injury prone. Carson Wentz.
I think Wentz might have even gotten injured yesterday.
Is Jacoby Brissett still the backup?
I don't even know.
Jacoby Brissett.
I like Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, it was Jacob Eason of Georgia and Washington
I can't remember.
Huskies.
It was either Jacoby Brissett or Scott Tolzien that came in for the Dolphins.
Yeah, it was Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, Tolzien better not be playing.
Scott Tolzien. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Former NC State legends,
and he hasn't played since 2017.
Wasn't he also at
Did Jacoby
Wisconsin?
Brissett play at NC State?
No, he played at
Florida.
Wait,
I'll give you all a guess. Don't look it up, Alex. I have it right here.
Wait,
I need a hint.
It is NC State.
Okay.
Oh, what?
Legendary NC State quarterback. NC State's QBU. That's all I gotta say.
I like Jacoby Brissett. You remember when it was him?
Oh, he played first at Florida, then transferred. That's what I was getting mixed up.
Garoppolo, him, and Tom Brady on the Patriots.
And then the Patriots ended with Mac Jones because Belichick handled that about as well as he possibly could have.
All right, well, we have got to go to a break, and we've got to say goodbye to Alex, unfortunately. But on the other side of this break, me and Davis are going to talk about Monday Night Football, as it is the Packers and the Lions. The Packers, some people's Super Bowl favorite, are going to have to avoid falling into an 0-2 hole if they can't hold off this stifling offense from the Detroit Lions. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
El que San Jude no cobra ni un centavo para nosotros significa quitarnos todo ese estrés, esa preocupación y podernos enfocar en nuestra hija.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When St. Jude told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow, they pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult and trying personal problems every day on my TV show, but there's one problem that's just got me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. That's 1 in 5 kids who may not know where their next meal is coming from, despite the fact that there's more than enough healthy, nutritious food out there to feed them all. Now, I don't know about you, but that is unacceptable to me. Luckily, the Feeding America network of good people is out there collecting surplus food and giving hope to hungry children and their families at local food banks all across the country. But let's face it, they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hold up, little buddy, what is you doing? Finna go hard, hard, hard. Ice on my neck, ice on my wrist. That for the squad, squad, squad. Know they gon' hate, do what I tell them. Get on your jaw, jaw, jaw. Work on smooth, I got the moves.
Welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I'm your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside Davis Carroll. We're talking Monday Night Football as it is Monday, And soon enough, it'll be the Detroit Lions traveling to Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers tonight, 7:15 p.m. Central on ESPN. Green Bay's favored by 11.5 in this one, despite a disappointing performance against the New Orleans Saints last week. Detroit with of course, that crazy loss to the 49ers in which they nearly completed a historic comeback. So potent offense on Detroit and a disappointing offense so far on Green Bay. All right, of course, we want to remind you that if you want to get your opinion on the show, you can do so. You can call in at 334-844-9345, or you can tweet at me at CDiscAU, at CDISCAU, and we will get to your inquiry post-haste. All right, let's jump right into this game coming up tonight in Lambeau Field. Not the record we were expecting Green Bay to have coming into this week, and the chance to start a season 0-2, which is a deep hole to climb out of. Do you think Green Bay's going to win, Davis?
I think they're going to win, but I need their offense to be really good passing. I need Robert Tonyan to get a lot of touchdowns and Aaron Jones to not touch the ball at all this evening. That's my goal for the evening.
Okay.
How's your That's my fantasy team.
I mean, I was driving all day yesterday, so I just kind of put it in outside of my control.
You can't really do much during the day of anyway.
I made the decision to start Joe Burrow over Jalen Hurts. I'm losing by 20, but ESPN says I'm favored to win. Oh, because I still have TJ Hawkinson gets to play. And so if TJ Hawkinson and Aaron Jones can combine for 20 points, I shall win.
I'll root for TJ Hawkinson to score 20, but I need Aaron Jones to score nothing.
Now, TJ Hawkinson, if he puts on the same performance he did last week, I should win pretty handily. He had 8 receptions for 97 yards and a touchdown. Adams had 5 for 56. So it's kind of hard to look at the stats from Green Bay last week, considering the offense played so poorly in that 38-3 loss to the Saints. Aaron Rodgers, 15 of 28. 133 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. So, unbelievable performance by the Packers last week. And we're dealing with Jared Goff, who was 38 of 57. He chucked the ball almost 60 times last weekend. He threw for 338 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception of his own. So, it will be interesting to see a younger Cal quarterback play an older Cal quarterback on their new teams now that they're division rivals.
You know, is this Aaron Rodgers last year with the Packers? Because they had the tiff this season or this off season where everybody was like, "Oh, he's going to get traded," and they signed the 1-year deal, and now he has a say in everything that's going on. Do you want to see Aaron Rodgers leave, try to make new horizons somewhere else? I'm not sure where else that'd be, but somewhere else.
I'd be interested to see. I mean, it'll make things more interesting. And
where else could he go?
The Washington football team. That's what I think.
He could go to the football team. He could even go to the 49ers if they give up on the Trey Lance and Garoppolo experiment.
And I mean, that's his hometown team.
I think he'd love to go there personally.
Grew up as a Niners fan.
Interesting.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, ESPN and I think all the experts are pretty confident in the Packers' ability to win this game. I don't know if that's confidence in Green Bay. Maybe it's wishful thinking on the I know Green Bay was very excited about this season, and it got off to a pretty embarrassing start. But the FPI has a 67% chance for the Packers to win, and Vegas looks to agree as the spread is 11.5 points. Do you think, I mean, we saw how potent that Lions offense can be, but also they scored a majority of their points in kind of garbage desperation time. So I'm wondering if that's going to affect the team in a way, considering now that it's under the lights in a rivalry game in a team that Aaron Rodgers has historically dominated coming into Lambeau Field.
Yeah, I really see the Packers kind of taking off early, then maybe taking their foot off the gas slowly after they get a good lead, and then the Lions, in Lions fashion, even with Matthew Stafford, this is their kind of thing. They just start to make a push near the end, start to make the other teams sweat a little bit, but I think the Packers are going to come out victorious in the end.
Okay.
With Robert Tonyan having 2 touchdowns, I'm calling it.
All right. So, have you seen this video of Aaron Jones wearing a sombrero?
I have not.
I need you to take a look at this. It reminds me a lot of remember when Joe Kelly got ejected from the Astros game, and he made all those faces and became pretty legendary, and then he got suspended, and then he disappeared from the face of the earth, and then the next time we all collectively saw him, he was wearing a mariachi outfit
to the White House.
Pretty unbelievable. And it seems that Aaron Jones has joined in the party, as Aaron Jones is now a part of the quote unquote sombrero gang.
Is that what he said?
He has a friendship with Green Bay superfan Senor Cheesehead, and it appears that Aaron Jones's signature hat is going to be making an appearance.
Oh my god!
On Monday Night Football. So I'm excited to see this.
This is cool.
I'm a big fan of. He's DMing him right now.
Yeah.
He's
the
Marcos Flores, Senor Cheesehead. He's the guy who hooked up Aaron Jones with the sombrero. So
it looks good. That's a pretty sturdy sombrero.
Oh, there he is. He's wearing his NFC Championship hat over the sombrero. 2 hats. Don't know how I feel about that, but I'm pretty excited to see this. I like it when there's fun.
We should get some fun hats for some Auburn games.
We should. I like when the Philadelphia Phillies hit a home run, they pass around a big straw hat to wear, a home run hat. It adds whimsy, it adds fun, and it adds an interesting storyline. It shows that the players are having fun, and that's like it enthuses me to see that, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Makes them
shows
more,
they're human.
It humanizes them in a way that you just got to remember, like, we're playing a game. We're celebrating America's pastime, its leisure time, by playing a game and in front of millions of people. And it's beautiful to see that even in such the media makes it seem so serious and solemn, and it's such a staunch thing, and all the head coaches are grumpy, and everyone's worried about getting fired, and then the players are just wearing sombreros.
That's why I like Joe Kelly, because he's just a regular-looking dude that made fun of the Astros and then wanted to wear a mariachi jacket, so he went and asked for it.
That's what it's all about. So
just having fun.
Maybe it could be Mariachi Monday next week on Compact Discourse, but only time will tell, as that is going to just about do it for today's episode. I do want to remind you, of course, Monday Night Football tonight, 7:15 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. It's the Detroit Lions versus the Green Bay Packers. You aren't going to want to miss that one. I'm pretty excited to watch that after I finish my homework tonight. All right, Davis, any parting shots you have for the lovely people out there?
Not really. I can't think of anything in time.
All right,
witty.
I'm losing it. I've lost all my cognitive function after running myself ragged over the weekend. So
go get some more coffee.
I think that's where I'm headed right after this. All right. Well, that is going to do it for Compact Discourse today. Thank you so much for listening to another exciting episode of Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM, however you joined us today, whether that be from your radio antenna, weglfm.com, or by listening to our podcast. We would like to remind you that, of course, all of our previous episodes are available as podcast, PSA break free, wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Compact Discourse. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at CDiscAU. That's at CDISCAU for links to the podcast, information about the show, and important updates. You can also tweet at us and get your opinion on the show. We are Auburn's only student-run morning show. You might want to go ahead and follow the station, WEGL, at WEGL_AU on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok now. Our marketing team is working really hard to give you great content, so go ahead and check it out. As for that, for Jack Hart, Alex Houston, Davis Carroll, we wish you a great rest of your Monday, great week, and we'll talk to you tomorrow with Jacob Hillman and Chris Tobias on another exciting episode of Compact Discourse. That's 8 a.m. tomorrow. As always, this is Jack Hart saying, War Eagle, go 1-0, attack the day, and we'll talk at you tomorrow morning.
but I'm trying to see a colorful bird.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember,